All right, welcome. This is Entrepreneurial's webinar on youth and employment. And today we're going to have an amazing guest speaker called James Baxter. He's about to join us and it's going to be amazing. And just to get started, if you guys are joining us online, this is a trial season. So we're not going to post it as it's being recorded live. We're going to post it a bit delayed by a few weeks, but I'm so excited to have James Baxter with us today. And we're going to have so much fun.
Hey.
Hello, James.
How are you?
I am well. Yourself?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. It's been last time we met was when I think was around March.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months. But I remember our time with fondness.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining today. It's good to have you, man. It's been a lot of back and forth to try to make it happen. I'm very exciting to have you today, man. Thanks for joining.
Oh, heck yeah. No, it's a privilege and I'm excited too. So, and then just so I make sure I'm pronouncing your first name right, Eruane?
Just Aaron.
Just Aaron. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. That's right. Just Aaron. And then your partner's name, your business partner's name, is he going to be here today?
No. So it was actually a business partner on a different business that that app that we're working on.
Yeah.
And he's running his own business, but we just partnered together for that app. And this is with regard to my own business. That is the entrepreneurship school that I mentioned to you. So he won't be joining us. He's actually also one of the guest speakers that I get here and there to come and speak to the students. So he will be joining.
That's cool. Yeah. And his name again, remind me?
John. His name is John.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how's the project coming?
The project, we had pre-approved funding, but another project got ahead of us. And so for that funding that we were pre-approved for, so we've just decided to bootstrap and get started with it without the funding in any ways and look for funders along the way. And so we are right now on the journey of finalizing the website, finalizing the app. It's not yet online or available. We're just waiting for all of that to be sorted, and then we'll get smart bang into it. But we were so relying on that funding that when another app got ahead of us.
Okay.
It just struggled to move forward from there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to the updates when you got them. So.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and then will that other? I think there was a person from Adidas going to join. Are they joining today?
No, so she won't be able to join. It turns out since the last time we planned it, we didn't know she was pregnant, and so I happened to be. I think a month and a half ago, she came from Germany with her fiance, and I officially married them. We met somewhere on the beach, and I did the whole ceremony for the wedding. And then they announced on the day that she was pregnant, and so her schedule, she's got a bad pregnancy, and she's on and off. So she can't tell you ahead of time in what mood she's gonna be. And so she just said, hey, give me time until August, and then we can do another webinar with me. Because the time is just finding your time and her time together with her mood swings and having to go to the hospital and all of that was very hard to get the two of you on a single platform. So we decided we're going to go with you, and then we'll do with her at a different stage.
Okay, awesome. And then now, is it a live webinar? Will the students be live with us?
Glad you're asking that question. So no, they're not.
Okay.
I got the confirmation, I think, from Rachel 2 days ago. So since June. And so I said to my team, listen, we're just gonna wait. If James does come on board, we're gonna do a pre-recording and post it later. Okay. Because I don't want to say to the student on this day this is happening and then nothing happens. And so I got the confirmation from Rachel, I think, on a Thursday.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That was like, Thursday, no, let me pre-record, and then we're gonna do a proper marketing for it. So this is busy being recorded right now, and then after that we'll get a picture of you, and we'll do a proper marketing for a proper 4 weeks, and tell them it's playing while it's actually pre-recorded.
Okay. What? Well, you tell me. I mean, so I'm really sorry about that. It's been a crazy time.
I know.
So we got a ton of things going on in the business, and then my family moved, and it's just been trying to keep it all together, but it's finally slowing down. So my question for you is, I mean, would you prefer to bump this and like do it live, knowing that I will be there, or, yeah, what would be the ideal? What would you prefer?
It's always ideal to be live. But listen, the nature of business is so fluid and flexible that I don't mind us recording now just in case. And if you're keen, we can set up a date. And on that day, if there's anything that happens, we can still play the recorded one.
Okay.
Or you can be there live and we don't have to play we just keep it as some good thing for information and for good knowledge. And we can always post it at a different stage.
Okay.
But I get it, man.
Okay.
After speaking to you last time, I know your business has grown a lot, but I know you're expanding a lot. I know there's a lot of balls that you're juggling at the same time. So I am all to making it easier for you.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Then we can just go forward with it, and then yeah, just keep me posted. And yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to your questions and to do sooner. So
it's perfect. But Rachel was in touch with me, so she will always say, "I'm gonna talk to James and then get back to you." Then I'll send an email and say, "Hey, any updates?" She's like, "I'm still waiting to hear back from James." So at least she was not, leaving me in the dark. She was like, "There's a lot happening. I'll let you know as soon as I've got a confirmation." So no, don't feel bad about it. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, what time is it on your side?
It's 10 a.m.
Okay,
so not too early at all. It's perfect.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I know Saturdays is family time, so please say thank you to your wife and your kids for allowing you to do this.
Yeah, no, I will. They no, they're upstairs. I was playing with them this morning and let my wife sleep a little bit more, but I was like, hey, I gotta go now. So anyway, I will. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, so we're just I'm gonna count to 3, and then whoever is editing this whole thing will know where to get it from, and so they'll get it from this stage, and I'm just gonna redo the welcome,
okay,
and bring you on board. But just before we do that, is there any? I'm sure you went through the questions. Is there anything that you feel comfortable, that you don't feel comfortable talking about? Are you okay with everything?
Everything, yeah, no, yeah, and I've got some thoughts prepared for everyone. If there's anything that like interests you or you want to ask more about, I'm happy to go there. So I love free form stuff. So feel free not to stick to the script, and I'll just tell you that tell you the most interesting thing I can think of.
The last entrepreneur we had, I prepared like 6 questions. Can I tell you, we barely got through 3 questions because he had so much to say about each question, which was fantastic. And then I will have questions about the things that he just said. Yeah. Or the student online will go online and be like, what about this? I want to hear more about this. And so we had 6, 7 questions. We only got the 3 questions with the hour that we had, and it was still a lot of fun. So I'm all for flexibility.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how many students, would be watching this?
So we'll have probably about 40 students or plus, minus more or less 40. But we usually invite the outside because it's always a great opportunity to get anyone who doesn't know about the school. So we have it online in person. People are resharing. So before you know it, I think last year we had a lady from Harvard University, and when she started speaking, people loved so much what she was doing that they reshared, and we found ourselves with 400 people just on Facebook Live. And so from being 60 people that we expected to have, we ended up with 400 people because we were live. So we never really know. We had people from Morocco, which is the north of Africa, joining us. We had people from Gabon that are French speaking joining us. We just had the 4 corners, Angola, which is a Portuguese speaking country in Africa. They also joined and asked questions. And so we do have surprises here and there.
Yeah, cool. That's neat. That's super neat. That's awesome.
Fantastic. All right, let's jump into it. 1, 2, and 3. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to all the entrepreneurs watching us online. It's so exciting to have you. As you guys know, this is Entrepreneurial School webinar number 2 of the year, and number 2 or number 3, I think number 2. And I hope you enjoyed the last one with Vikela, all the way ex-chairperson of South African Airlines. And today we got someone on a different caliber with us, all the way from the States. Is going to tell us all where he's from. He's going to tell us all about him. But we have with us James Baxter from Exodus 90. James, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Aaron, I'm so good. It is a delight to be with you and a privilege to share this time with the students. So thanks, everybody.
Yo, man, you look like someone who's ready to fire knowledge and wisdom right away. Last time I saw you, did you have the same beard? Or no, on your picture, actually on your emails, it doesn't show so much beard. Eh? Is it?
No, yeah, you caught me. Yeah, I've been growing this bad boy out. I got a friend now with a beard that goes all the way down here, but I can't. I got no chance at that. So I'll keep it about where it's at. But yeah, I'm getting a little scruffy. No doubt about it.
This is the trend with men at the moment. I'm trying to grow mine, but it just looks very messy. So I just gotta cut it all the time. It doesn't work for everybody, but I gotta say it works for you, man. It does work for you.
I appreciate that too. To be honest with you, on this side, I used to have this big patch that couldn't grow, and I just let myself look like an idiot for a long time, and it finally came in. So I don't know, Aaron, maybe that could happen for you.
Have you heard of the Manchester? I don't know if you guys watch Manchester United on your side, but you look, now that I look at you with the beard, you look exactly like Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh, of course I've heard of him. So funny story for you. So my obviously, so I mean soccer, or football. We call it soccer over here.
I know.
It's not as big, like not as big at all. But it's a world sport. And when I got married, my wife's family was obsessed with soccer. And it's because they got like French roots in their family.
Yeah.
And so but their team is Manchester United. And of course, I had no allegiances.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I had no allegiances, no loyalties, no nothing. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need a soccer team, and so I started rooting for him. That was about the time when Bruno joined the team. And boy, especially early on, like he's fire, man. So anyway, yeah, love Manchester United. I'm growing in my fandom and in my knowledge of the game. But I also know a guy, he's an influencer online. He's a Bitcoiner, and I'm really into Bitcoin. And it's his dream to own Manchester United. And he sold a medical company a long time ago for $500 million. So like he could do it, in time. So long story short, I got all these people in my life now that are all about Manchester United. And I guess I'm one of you.
Yeah, thank you. And to all the Liverpool fans out there, I'm sorry. You are not the one. You are absolutely not the one. We have a fan of Manchester United right here, so you guys don't get to win tonight. And I sure hope your friend buys Manchester United, because then I will know you. Who knows the owner of Manchester United? I mean, it doesn't get any better.
Come on, then we'll all go to all the games, right?
We'll all go to all the games. And those who don't believe me, who don't know who Bruno Fernandes is, I'm just gonna do this quickly. I don't know if you guys can see, but here's this picture. I'm sharing the screen. If you guys can see Bruno Fernandes right here. Look at the beard. Just look at this picture. Look at this.
Let's go.
Look at James and look at Bruno Fernandes, guys. Crazy resemblance, eh?
Let's go. Aaron, this is the greatest affirmation I've received in months. So thank you.
I'm so glad. You should receive it. There's no other way to receive it in anyway. So glad it actually works out.
That's awesome.
But guys, I'm so glad you guys have joined us today. We're gonna ask some key questions to James, and you guys are just gonna get to hear and get to know him a bit more. And one other thing I want to encourage you, as you get to hear him, just guys, yes, he's an entrepreneur. Yes, he's done some crazy stuff out there. Yes, but he's a dude, man. He's a guy like you and myself. And I'd like you to listen to him with the mindset that if you could do it, chances are you can potentially do it. Why not more? And so I'm gonna start by asking, James, tell us, where are you from? I know it's from the States. It's in the States, but where exactly in the States? And is that where you're originally from? Did you just move there? What do you like about the place? Just tell us more about yourself, your family. Let us get to know you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. So I'm from Indiana, and I'm not sure if anyone has visited the States before, but when you think about the United States, I have found most people think about the coasts. They think about LA, they think about New York, or maybe they think about Miami.
The East Coast, yes, it's all about the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yeah, man, the coast. And to be honest with you, I mean, it's that is the absolute minority of the country and a terrible representation of what the United States is. So when you're in the heartland, which is what we call Indiana, it's kind of like right, it's towards the east a little bit, but the center, it's closest to Chicago from a terms of a big metro area. But Indiana is nothing like the coast, man. And when we think about people on the coast, we're like, yeah, they're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. Them and all their high culture and pop culture and stuff. We don't really listen to it. So Indiana is a pretty simple place, honestly. Lots of farmland. Folks here are known to be like pretty kind, very, pretty humble. But it's just a good place to live. It's a simple place to live. And I got to say, I've loved growing up here. That's right. So I live right in the center of the state, in a suburb of Indianapolis called Westfield. So it's just like 20 minutes outside of Indianapolis. So for those of you who are American football fans, you might know that the Indianapolis Colts, play in my state. So Peyton Manning was a big deal back in the day. I grew up going to Colts games with my dad. So Peyton Manning was my hero. We won the Super Bowl about 15 years ago. And for a little state like ours to win like that it was a huge deal. So I still go every Sunday in football season with my whole extended family to Colts games. So anyway, so from Indiana, love being from Indiana. And I'd say from an entrepreneurial standpoint, traditionally startups and new businesses are in these big major hubs in the country. They're not in places like Indiana. And I think that's one of the things I've been really proud of. What we've been able to do is we've been able to build, a growing business in a place that is outside of all the fun, like the crazy funding environments of Silicon Valley, or out east. And I love that about our work, and it keeps us simple. It keeps us grounded, keeps us focused on business fundamentals, which are surprisingly easy to forget. When you drink kind of the funding Kool-Aid, I like to say. But that's a little bit about Indiana. I am 30 years old as well, so not too much older, than many of you. I'm married now. I have 2 children. My son is 3 years old. His name is Joseph. My daughter is named Genevieve, and she's not quite 1. And I'm married to my beautiful wife, Colleen. So have a young and growing family. And we have a really, really peaceful, really happy life together. But my story is a little bit interesting because my parents, so I grew up around here, but they had this very profound conversion to the Catholic faith when I was, about maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I remember it having this massive difference in our family life. And it would end up really changing the trajectory, of my entire life. And I didn't really know it at the time, but it did. Now, I always had business instincts, and I always had stock market, like a love for the stock market. My dad at a young age sat me down at the computer. One of this big Indianapolis companies had just tanked. And he's like, give me $5 and, I'll give your money back to you. I'll give more money back to you later, basically. And so I did. I gave him $5. That's a lot of money for me as a little kid, so I give it to him, and he takes me to the computer 6 months later, and it was $20, and he gave me back a $20 bill. And I'll never forget just like what happened. Like what was that, And so like that at a young age would just get me starting to think in an investment mindset.
Come on.
And just that every dollar has to represent more. Every dollar has to be stewarded, and work for you. And that is such an important kind of mentality and mindset as you're starting a business, because you're confronted with so many questions, decisions. And for me, a fundamental framework for me is like, hey, is this multiplying the value that we have in our company, or is it taking away, from what we have? And honestly, I think it's just my dad teaching me about the stock market. That was like hugely impactful there. I'd say I also had some like, salesy instincts too. I was not an extrovert. And I was not a very popular kid in school. I was pretty shy, pretty quiet, pretty introverted. But I just loved kind of selling stuff. And so I would trade with kids on the school bus all the time. And I'd go to the popular kids, and my most notorious trade, which got me into trouble, was I traded an old candy wrapper. So like there was no candy in the wrapper, like it's just the wrap, for the starting running back of our school's keychain. Like he had this awesome Tasmanian devil keychain that I just loved. And somehow I convinced him to trade me a piece of trash for his candy wrapper. And this is, again, like really popular kid. And it's such a bad trade for him that his mom came over to my house afterwards and got it back. And I got into a little bit of trouble. But, I've always just kind of had, even though I was shy and even though I was introverted and pretty quiet.
Yeah.
It's kind of these entrepreneurial instincts, this love for the markets, this love for investing, this love for trading, this love for selling, that always really interested me. And so I would actually, go on to, I wanted to study business. And so Indiana University has one of the best college business schools in the country, surprisingly. It's called the Kelley School of Business. And I got into there right away. And I was headed there with some of my best friends. We had a triple dorm, which is weird in the United States. You normally sleep 2 in a room, and this was a 3-person in a room. And we wanted to do something funny where we had, instead of just bunk beds, like one on top of the other, we were going to do 3 beds on top of each other just to be stupid. Okay. And like, we were really proud of this. Well, then I changed my mind. It was a week before we were supposed to show up, and I felt like God was calling me to go to the seminary. And so basically, to study to be a Catholic priest. And that might sound pretty strange to do at the age of 17 or 18, but really throughout my time in high school, I was just like learning to pray and just kind of really, really, really fell in love with God, like in a profound way that changed my life, changed how I look at the world, changed how I spend my time, how I treat other people. Yeah. And I felt like, if we only live once and life is forever, which I believe, I want to give it all away. And so I went to the seminary. I was there for 6 years. And it was a profound time. I'd say there's profound fraternal experiences, profound prayer, service, missionary work. And it was just a really transforming time for me. But one of the things that occurred to me there was, as important as this stuff is for guys who are studying to be priests, I thought, like, man, a lot of the stuff we're learning here would be relevant to other guys that are not supposed to be priests, called to be priests. And so I ended up discerning out, and that's where my journey with Exodus 90 starts.
Just pause there for a second. Don't spoil Exodus 90 yet.
Okay.
I want a big bang to get to that journey.
Yeah, and for sure.
I very much like what you're saying about being a teenager, being an ordinary teenager, and even an underdog to some extent, because I know some of the guys watching us right now, a lot of them feel like they are underdogs. A lot of them feel like they don't fit into the crowd. A lot of them feel like they're not good enough. And I think a lot of them can relate to you. And by the way, as we're speaking, if you got guys watching us online, all the entrepreneurs, and if you're not an entrepreneur, somebody, a friend sent you the link to say, hey, come check it out. If you have any questions, please put it in the comment and we will answer as we go. All right. But please type in your questions, and we really want to engage with you guys that are watching us right now. And this is you partly answered the question that I'm about to ask before we get to Exodus 90, which is the business I mentioned at the beginning. But a lot of guys watching you right now, James, are thinking, okay, I can relate to you. I understand what you're saying about being an underdog, and I understand, all of this. Oh gosh, you were accepted into one of the top universities, a business school in the country, and then you said no to go this other way. A lot of the teenagers or young people watching us right now are struggling with the sense of purpose, the sense of, what is the right thing for me? And I bet a lot of them want to know, what was the turning point exactly? And you can carry on with the story, but I want you to emphasize, what was the turning point? How did you stumble on entrepreneurship from studying priesthood on this journey to becoming a priest, to becoming an entrepreneur? how did you, when was the turning point, number one? And how did you know with conviction that entrepreneurship was for you? And how did you get that all started? So sorry I interrupted you, but carry on.
No, it's an amazing question. I would say for those of you struggling with these thoughts of inadequacy, or I don't know if I have what it takes, or I don't know if I have the education, I can actually relate to that a lot because I never ended up going to the business school. And so, I started on Exodus from nothing, no money, no funding, nothing at all, no training. I don't know how to start a business, but honestly, for me, it all came back from this calling that I felt like I had from God. And then me just trusting that every single day, what I need is right in front of me. Like, you don't need anything more than reality, because I believe deeply reality, even when it's challenging, it never betrays us. I have this deep trust in, the fact that life is so mysterious. It's so hard to get a grip on. And it's like, I would rather live my life trusting what's in front of me, trusting the people in front of me, than being cynical, protecting myself, or being afraid, any of, that kind of mentality. And so really, when I started out, guys, like I was just like you, except I was trying to start something with no education at all. I didn't have programs like you're in right now. But I did trust. I trusted that this needed to happen. And I trusted that God would put in front of me the people, the things, the technology, everything that I would need. But then I really committed to learning. So one of the things that's so important, I think, is just a spirit of humility. So humility is a virtue. It helps us to stay grounded and to stay humble. And I truly believe that the best leaders and the best entrepreneurs are humble people, because when you start something, you are confronted by so many things that you don't know, you've never seen before. And it's very unlike other professions, like being a doctor, being a lawyer, or, even kind of being a priest in my case. It's like in those professions, you're an expert, but like, and people look to you to have the answer. But when you're an entrepreneur, there are not clear answers all the time. And you just have to like trust and go with your gut and do your best and make mistakes and be okay with making mistakes, and just commit to learning from what is in front of you and what is happening to you. And I'd say a combination of those things, were instrumental in me to kind of put one foot in front of the other to get to where we're at now. And the other thing that I would just say, Aaron, is I would have friends that would end up going to some of the top business schools in the country, Harvard, Dartmouth, like these schools that, Fortune 500 executives go to, And I remember talking to a close friend, like, I'm thinking about finally going to business school. But he knew about our success at Exodus and really kind of how it was taking off. And he's like, James, like, you don't even need business school, man. Like, business school came to you. Like, you are doing what I want to learn how to do. And I found that to be so humbling, because, you can kind of look at kind of the formal system and think, oh, those are all the steps I need to take. And I guess I'm here to tell you, like, I haven't had any of that training, but I have been willing to learn, and I have been willing to be wrong. And I have been willing to change my mind when new information and new experiences kind of present themselves to me. As to a turning point, for me, I just feel like our whole story over here at Exodus is like just this masterful like integration of all these different parts of my life that for a while felt separate and were kind of flying in the air, that are now just like coming together in a way that is so hard to wrap my head around. Like, I'm working with my very best friends, at the company, so like just guys that I've met or guys from my past, who have skills and crafts and talents that we need for the company, and as we grow, I just invite them in, and I would just say, like, that to me is marvelous. I don't know, what you guys think about your own calling as entrepreneurs, but for me, the output or the success has always been disproportionately bigger than my input. And for me, I think that just goes back to the fact that for me, my entrepreneurship is responding to a call I have, if it wasn't there, I don't know that I'd be doing what I'm doing. It really kind of, as simple as that for me.
I love it, because I always tell entrepreneurs that you figure it out as you go. You don't have to know all the steps. And for you guys listening to me right now, everybody wants to know the formula. They want the safest way to start for a predictable success. They want to be able to know, if I press 1, 2, 3, I will get this success. And part of these webinars, part of the reason why we do these webinars is to expose you to a diversity of entrepreneurs and diversity of stories, but also to prove it to you guys that actually there's no set formula. Every entrepreneurs come with a different story and they started differently. It turns out it's completely different. But one thing they have in common is that they all put one step without the next step being obvious. And then the one step made the next step more obvious, but the third step was still not obvious. And so as they went, they figured it out along the way. And so having said that, and we're mentioning Exodus at the beginning, he just mentioned Exodus, James just mentioned Exodus. But James, tell us a bit about Exodus. I know I found out personally the reason why James is here, and I'm going to tell it's a funny story. A friend of mine who lives in the UK is actually a godfather to my daughter. He's not a British. What is the term? He's what do you call people from this part of United Kingdom? It's not even
British.
No, not British. The people is Scottish. There you go.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
They like the differentiation. They like being called, I'm a Scot, and this is in English. As much as they're part of one big country, they do enjoy their own independence. And so a good friend of mine, Patrick, Scottish guy, lovely guy, and recently converted to Catholicism as well. And so lovely guy. I love him. Incredibly humble. And he was looking at ways to, as a man, to get more discipline into his spiritual disciplines and all of that. And so he ended up stumbling on the App Store on this app called Exodus 90, right? He stumbled on Exodus, downloaded the app, started going through the content, and he found it incredible. So he pops me a message on WhatsApp and says to me, hey, Aaron. I'm like, hey, Patty, how's it going? We start talking about boys nonsense. And then he says to me, hey, there's this app that I found that is really incredible. Do you want to give it a try? So I download the app, I go through it. I'm like, first of all, I go onto the website and I find it amazing, right? And the first thing that I want to see, who's the people behind? I'm always looking for who's the people behind. And I go to our story on their website. And guys, as I'm speaking right now, you guys can go Google www.exodus90.com. You guys will see orange website, beautiful, orange and white. And I'm like, I fell in love with the story right away, right? And I was like, yo, let me download the app. I downloaded the app, got started with it, and there's a small fee to pay. And as I'm chatting to Patty, he's like, Priya, don't worry about it. I'm actually going to pay for both of us to do it. And after going through the app and some of the things that it was talking about, I'm like, yo, is there a way to get in touch with these guys? I love their story. They look dynamic. And just by reading the content of Exodus, it seemed like it was written by a person and not a machine. I don't know. There are some sites you go, they look so perfect in nature that these people look like they're not ordinary people. They look like they're out there. But I'm like, I feel like I can relate to this person, to this. And I'm saying this here because I've actually, a funny story. I've got the whole website in front of me, and I'm scrolling through it as I'm speaking. And so I've got it. I was like, I want to get in touch. And I went to the contact section. And so James and his email and the whole team, and I just emailed, guys. I promise you that's all I did. I emailed, and to my surprise, just like 2 days later, not even the secretary, not even a team member, James himself got back to me and says, hey, buddy, thank you. I appreciate everything you had to say. And I was like, wow, this guy responded. And I was working on a business partner, John, on a similar on something that was similar. We're just working about men and getting men into getting involved into their children's lives. And so and then he responded. We had a video call together, and I found a guy that was really down to earth, very down to earth. He was sitting in his office. There's a banner at the back of Exodus 90. It looked like, I don't know, watching, reading the book of Steve Jobs when they started, and it felt, I had that vibe. I'm like, this guy is going far. He's already gone far, but he's going further. And I want to stay in touch with this person because whatever he's doing, I want to expose it to my student one day. And that's how I met James, guys. To be honest, that's literally how I met him. And so I want James, you to tell us what is Exodus 90, and I just gave him a bit of a spoil, a bit of a trailer, but what is Exodus 90, and what is your story? You started in 2016, 17, and today, what is the story of Exodus, and what is the success it is today?
Yeah. Well, Aaron, that's so humbling. Thanks for sharing our story, which I so enjoyed our conversation, and it was a real highlight for me as well. So I look forward to many more of those in the future too. But yeah, so our mission at Exodus is fundamentally about helping men to grow closer to God, and to become better men, and to live different. It's kind of a phrase that we talk about a lot. And for us, that means helping men to learn how to pray, practicing asceticism, which is a fancy word from the history of Catholicism that just means acts of self-denial. Stoicism is really popular today in the United States. I don't know about, where you guys are at in South Africa, but it's kind of like that, like acts of self-denial, saying no to low things, to say hi to top, to say yes to bigger things. And also just fraternity, community, like kind of getting us out of our isolation. And so, for us, that's what it means to really live different, to live a life of prayer, to live a life that where we're listening to God, we're responding to him, we're building a true relationship, just like we share with people around us. For us, that's just essential. For me, when I think about life, what we see with our eyeballs, I think is like not even half of the equation, not even half. And I just have this feeling like, and I see, and as I read the scriptures, and as I even just like watch my own life unfold, it's just like, yeah, man, like what's happening here is not just on a visible level, but on an invisible level. And without a prayer life, like you just don't see any of it. You miss a lot of, I think, the meaning of life, and a lot of what I think makes life so saturated and so rich and so powerful. I can't even explain to you how often I've, thought I was going to go do something. I pray about it and I do something else, and turns out like it's way better than kind of what I had in mind. And when I think about our story at Exodus, I'm constantly asking God, like, hey, Lord, I need this thing. And it happens. Hey, Lord, I need to talk to this person. And it happens. And hey, Lord, I need this money for this thing. And it happens. And it's not because like I'm making it happen. It's just because I'm in touch with, the meaning of life, the heart of reality. And so our work is really about helping men to live that way, which is different, which is challenging, which is hard. It's hard to sit still, and it's hard to be humble enough to ask, and see what you might find. And so, that prayer component, introducing men to a relationship with the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, is just essential to us. The ascetic dimension is interesting. Like, we like to think if we get whatever we want, we do whatever we want, we have whatever we want, we'll be happy. It turns out like it's not true at all. And we often need to say no to things. And we find greater freedom, by doing so. So throughout all of our work at Exodus, we're teaching men to build that muscle of self-denial. And turns out when you can really say no to low things, you start avoiding even sins and distractions and bad habits that are getting in your way from being the person that you're called to be. And lastly, we're all about fraternity here. We're all about community here. We just believe that, a soldier alone is not a soldier. Like, you need others, you need brothers in the faith. And for us, that's what we do. That's what inspires us. That's what excites us, is how do we help men to pray, to practice asceticism, to be fraternal? How do we help men to live differently? And you might ask, well, like, why are you only focused on men? And I guess I would go back to just the fact that the fact of the calling for me. It's certainly the case from a business standpoint. We would have a market opportunity if we tried to start doing other religions, or to even offer programming for women. But I believe that what we are doing, how we are doing it, is uniquely designed and built, with the struggles of modern men in mind. And so, our goal is that our wives and our children would have the men that they deserve. And that is a free man, a powerful man, a man who knows who he is, he knows what he's about, and is living a good life. And it's not just for himself. No, it's precisely for those that he's called to love and to serve, namely his wife, his children, his community. And so that's what excites us. And I think to peel the onion a little bit too, one of the things that I'm really interested in is the fact that, the faith, at least in a lot of the United States, it's kind of falling apart. And so some like 80% of American Catholics leave the church by the time they're 23 years old. And that is devastating to me, because I believe that the Catholic faith is the fullness of the truth. And so if that's what I believe and that's a problem, well, I want to give all of my time, energy, and effort to helping to fight that. Yeah. And one of the things you learn as you dig into the research about why do people practice the faith as adults is that their fathers are the greatest single predictive factor in whether or not a child will practice the faith as an adult. Sure. So the research on this is like so interesting. When a mom practices the faith and the father does not, there's a 2% chance that children will practice the faith as an adult. Yeah. When the father practices the faith, even irregardless of the faithfulness of the mother, there's a 2/3 to 3/4, 66 to 75% chance that the children will practice the faith. And so that's just super interesting. But in truth, it's like what a man does for his family and what a good father does is he introduces his children into life. And whereas the mother nurtures and brings them up and, is really kind of the rooting of an identity, the father introduces them to the world. And when that dad's not there, and when that father is not there, children suffer, and they suffer not only from a spiritual perspective, but from an emotional, mental, educational, psychological perspective. And so there's lots of other groups and lots of other institutions that are focused on kind of the crisis in fatherhood that I think the world is facing, that we're facing in the United States. And we don't believe that, we're the end all be all, we don't have an eat the world mentality or anything like that, but we just want to make a positive difference in the lives of the men that we serve. And since we started in 2015, we've had over 60,000 different men go through our programs. And last year alone, we reached just shy of 20,000. And it's our goal to really make a dent in sustaining the future of the church by serving men and calling them into the fullness of what they could be and what I believe that God has called them to be for the world today.
That is incredible. Thank you so much for that. And as we're speaking, James, you'll see that I don't know if you can see that, but I'm sharing my screen on my side. And you guys get to see Exodus 90. What you guys will notice, and I'm very intentional, James, on bringing a diversity of individuals to come to these webinars, because what you'll notice is that the last one that we had was a guy who was working for some of the top corporates in South Africa, and then left all of that with the business knowledge and had to start an organization from scratch. And that was Vikela Rankin that we had about 2 months ago. And then here what you have is somebody who didn't go to a business school. Think about it, didn't go to a business school, chose to study to become a priest. And even in that was able to identify a problem with men. And I constantly want to remind you guys, it always starts entrepreneurship with identifying a problem, but not just any problem, a problem that you carry a burden for. And so he identified this problem, felt incredibly burdened with the fact that men were missing on who they're called to be, on certain spiritual disciplines. And he looked around and realized there was not a lot of solutions for men out there. And I'm sure he must have been one of the men who needed those disciplines and couldn't find it as well. And in the story, I remember when we last talked, he had said to me that he actually went around to ask what's available. And what was available was not matching the needs. Even within the church, was not matching the needs of the real, was not matching the real need that the men were facing. And as much as he's saying it's not an all-in solution, it's part of the solution. But I think the habits that he's been able to create, and what's crazy, guys, look at it through the website. what he's done is that he's created some specific habits, as you guys will see. How is that habit of starting your screen working out for you? Of binge watching the screen, how's that working out for you? And they simply have created habits with amazing visuals and amazing disciplines that once you follow these disciplines, you find yourself growing. You find yourself closer to God. And they talk about prayer, they talk about asceticism, they talk about fraternities. And I think it's incredible. And look at it. I want you guys to look at the bottom of the screen. So you got a 7-day trial, a 7-day free trial for Exodus 90. But listen, when they started with about what? Was it 1,700 men or 17,000 men in the first year when you guys started? I think 17,000 men in the first year when you started. To now, think about it, to now they have 60,000 men that have subscribed to these habits, to this culture. And look at it, they have an annual plan of $90 per year. Monthly, you pay $10 to follow these habits. There's an amazing app that I would love to show you on your phone, full of visuals, beautiful. I don't know if, James, you have it on your phone, on your computer that you can share, because I think you can share your screen, and just walk us through the app. And I want you to realize, and while he's doing that, I'm going to stop sharing here so he can have the room to share. But what James has done is that he's identified a problem in men and realized, even without going to a business school, because a lot of you guys want to go to a business school. Some of you are fortunate enough to come to Entrepreneurial School. But even I say to you, Entrepreneurial School we're not going to teach you entrepreneurship, because it's hard to teach entrepreneurship. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you tools that will equip you on your journey towards entrepreneurship. And so what James has done is that after identifying the problem, he's obviously seen that if we build certain specific habits and we put them in place, guess what's going to happen? If people align themselves with these habits, there's going to be a change. And another thing that I love about James, if you guys paid attention, you will see that I just need to make him an admin so you can share. But you see, there's a passion. The target market is clear. It's men. It's not men and women. It's not everybody in the world. His target market is very clear. He knows who he's targeting. And so even when you start a business, you want to be sure that you know who your target market is. Having said that, I'm just going to try to make James an admin so he can share his screen. And then you guys I can walk you, he's going to walk you through Exodus 90. And James, I'm just letting you share your screen. And we've got, for anybody watching us right now, remember, if you have any questions, just pop it on the WhatsApp group. We got about 10 minutes left in this webinar, and we're going to do a quick walkthrough, and then I'm going to ask one more question, and that's going to be it. So please don't miss out your chance to ask questions right now about anybody. And I hope that you're encouraged to know that business is not something that you can put in a box. It doesn't matter. For him, it was Catholicism. For somebody else who's working at an airline company, being the chairman of an airline company, it could be anything that you feel passionate about, you identify a problem with, and you got a strong burden for. You can start something within that field.
So Aaron, unfortunately, I just got Zoom on my new computer, so I can't share my screen right now, but I'm going to try to hold up. I don't even know if you can see this.
Yeah. Can see
it's a little bit blurry. Let me turn off my virtual background. So you're gonna see me in my basement. It's pretty rough settings here. Okay. All right. So this is our app. And basically what you see is, just a welcome to the day and the date. And from there, you can click through to the day's content. And all that this is just a daily reading. And so what we do is present a scripture for the day, which corresponds with the daily gospel in the Catholic Church, and a reflection that we've written. Super simple, honestly. What's so beautiful about our reflections and why guys love them is that they're made for them. You talk about a target market, Aaron. And everything that we write is for guys that are really like between the ages of 22 and like 55. And so we just think about young fathers, guys that are really entering into marriage, entering into family life, and that's who we serve. So obviously there's a lot of young men younger than that, and that's not who we reach. There's a lot of men older than that, and that's not necessarily, who we reach either. But this is really pretty big. Then I just say, additionally, there's some habits that you can create. I'm not in a program right now. I just have some personal disciplines that I've set for myself that I can stay accountable to on a daily basis. Wake up at 5:55 a.m. Just check that off. It highlights orange. We have a fraternity. And so these are all the guys in my contact book that also have the Exodus app that I've messaged before. This is my message back and forth with my brother. So we basically built an in-app messenger as well. And I'm really excited because from a product standpoint, we spent all of our time really on the content creation side. So we have really over 3 years of ongoing programs that guys can go through in our app. And so we've spent years really focused on dialing in our content strategy, and we're still always improving it and changing it and modifying it and adjusting it based on the feedback that we get, but now we're really focused on our community features. And so one of the common questions that guys ask is like, man, Exodus is powerful, but who will share this journey with me? Aaron had a friend reach out to him. He's lucky, but there's a lot of guys who find it, know that fraternity is an essential part of our work, and can't find guys that are willing. And so we're going to take that burden onto the platform. We're going to try to help guys create dynamic fraternities in their local community. And if they don't have anyone around them, we'll have remote groups, pairing guys by time zone, experience, background, to have their fraternities, as well. And so really it's very simple. Honestly, it's a kind of a content and community app that that guys in our market really enjoy and are very loyal to, which is very humbling for us. The other thing I would just say is building apps is hard work and building apps is expensive. But one of the things that I'll tell you is, we've had 1 week of one developer's time per month for 4 years. Okay. It's like, so a lot of people think like, oh, I need all these engineers and I need, all this money or whatever. And honestly, we have just, with what little resources we had at the beginning, just again, with that investment mentality, find trusted people that can do good work and deliver over time, even if it's not as much work as the product deserves at this point. It's possible, and I will say when most people learn about just like revenue and subscriber counts and stuff like that in our business, they are stunned by what little we have had to get there. I mean, there are countless ideas with way bigger, greater funding, better teams, better talent, better everything that don't have the same results. And for me, I don't know what to say about that other than it's a calling from the Lord. And it's about listening to the guys we serve, and listening deeply to okay, what can we do better? Be open to being criticized and being kind of challenged by your customers. It's like, those are your allies. Those are your friends. And so honestly, it's been, I used to do that all the time. And I'd say as the business has scaled over 7 or 8 years, you can find yourself in just different layers of work that's kind of more abstracted from your core customers. And finally, I just got sick of this. And so literally next couple of weeks, I'm just sitting down with 20 customers. And I'm just trying to listen again, like I used to do, to get back in touch so that we can continue to improve our product for them.
I love that. I love the listening to customers. I think you said some keyword, and I want you guys listening to right now to make a note of it. Customers are your allies. They are not against you. Even when they criticize you, they're not against you. They are still for you. As long as they're purchasing your product, as long as they're interested in your product, not even purchasing, they are your allies. So listen to what they have to say from the get-go. So here's a key question that I always get, James. And this question is a trick question. I intentionally didn't add it to the question that I sent you because I wanted to put you on the spot. But it has two sides to the story. Feel free if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But number one is, did you ever get funded? How did you get the money to get started? Number two, what has been your highest amount that you've ever made in a year with Exodus? If you're open
awesome. Awesome question. So we on the funding side, so in the United States, we have kind of two kinds of businesses. Some are for profit and some are nonprofit. And we started as a nonprofit, which is much, in a way, harder to do, because there's no incentive to give you money.
Yeah.
And so we started that way because that's how most faith things are. We're currently, and so that's really how we've been operating. And so honestly, our largest donation, over 7 years, and it took me years and years and years to get this, was $75,000. And I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you. In the United States terms, that is not a lot of money, not a lot at all to do what we're doing now. But honestly, it was just like me asking around family, friends, hey, $10 here, $100 there, whatever, and just trying to steward it the best that I could.
Yeah.
What's exciting is we're actually in a moment of transition right now that I can talk about, where our nonprofit has actually sold the whole company effectively to an investor, and we're going to finally be a fully funded project. So we're taking on a couple $1 million in capital, and just expanding our whole team, everything we're doing, and going to try some new things. But honestly, it's just about building a bigger team, and hopefully just trying to serve and serve more men, and give them a better product. I'd say one of the frustrating things about being a nonprofit was we could never go command a big gift from people. And part of the reason was our own success got in the way. They're like, well, you're making all this money yourself, you don't need my gift. And I'm like, well, this is about growth, but in nonprofit world, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, nonprofit world is about keeping on the lights and, just going. It's not about like scale and growth and changing the world, honestly, in some ways. And so, long story short, just by a blessing and just by a fluke, I met a man who is able to make this transition for us, and he's being so exceedingly generous. It's hard to wrap my head around in order for this to happen for us, and it's super exciting. So maybe we'll check in a couple of years. We'll see how it goes. I'm very nervous, to be honest with you. I'd say in the past, like, we've never had money, right? So it's like, if we didn't do well or something, it's like, well, we did the best we could with what we had.
Yeah.
And now it's like someone's calling my bluff. They're like, okay, here you go. And it's like, I can go get the team I need now, and we can try the marketing things that we've wanted to try. And in a way, I feel intimidated. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, now there's no excuse, now we got to go do it, And so I'd say it's a real moment of transition. It's a moment of, I'm amazed it's happened. I'm amazed it's here. And it took us 7 years to finally get funding, meaningful funding, to do what I think we ultimately can do. From a revenue standpoint, for the product itself, for the subscription, our largest year has been $1.6 or $7 million is where we're at right now. And we're just kind of came off that year. So that's our biggest year yet.
Is that a small amount in the US? In America, is that an average amount? Because here it's a lot of millions. For you, is that a small amount? Is that
honestly, for now, I would say that amount in a business, from business revenue, it's a lot. It feels like a lot. That puts I forget the stats on it, but I mean, most businesses in the United States are small businesses like ours, and the vast majority are not bigger than $500,000 US a year. And so, for us to be there where we're at, with what we've had to work with is pretty amazing, honestly. I'd say the other thing that's interesting is evaluations in the United States are interesting. Subscriptions, recurring revenue, which is what we have as our business model, is an app subscription. Those valuations are crazy, multiples of 10, 20, sometimes even more than that. And so, we're kind of right where we need to be right now. And, my personal goal with Exodus, and I don't know why it is, but I want to get to $10 million and in recurring revenue. It seems hard enough, but it seems not impossible either. Someone once told me, like, hey, if you want to build $1 billion business, why don't you try 10 million? It's hard enough. I'm like, yeah, that's a good advice. That's good advice. So,
and if you make $1 million, I'm sure in 7 years, and with the knowledge and expertise you've acquired, it shouldn't take you another 7 years to make another, to double that up. So within the next within the next 10 years, you'll reach towards 10 million. I'm saying this humbly.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. That's it's humbling. And that's our goal. That's our desire. And for us, it's not really like, I don't dream of selling Exodus for multiples and making a lot of money. And I don't dream of, working like so much that I lose my family or my faith or anything like that. And so really what I've become passionate about is, yes, I want to serve as many men as we can. Like, yes, I want our product to be so much better than it is. One other just little truth I'd say is your product is never where you want it to be. It's always kind of embarrassing. You're always just like, gosh, this needs to be better, and but if it's not launched and it's not out there, it's never going to get to anybody. If you waited for it to be perfect, it would never be, you'd never go anywhere. And so I would say, like, I cannot wait for the product to be better, but as passionate as I am about reaching more men and, serving them better, serving them for longer, I'm as passionate about the work environment we're creating here. And my dream is to just have a small group of 12 to 15 people that are really passionate about the work, who are vision people, but can also do the work. They're not just managers. Like, we're not big enough to have like middle management in our company. And so really my dream is to, respect the market, pay people very well, to do great, meaningful work, in the faith. And I'd say that is just an anomaly, because most church work is like, it's free, you're not being paid, and it's terrible. And as a result, your products are terrible, and so I'm just trying to do something different where it's, secularly excellent, it's competent, it's, it's impressive, and impressive people are around me working here. But our heart is with the men and our heart is with God, and so I'm trying to kind of bridge two worlds in the work environment. And, that's really what I've become passionate about doing. And ultimately, I think trying to, maybe stem or maybe change some of the perceptions that a lot of people can have about the church, and a lot of people can have about church businesses, as well. And, basically, I'm just borrowing kind of the tech models that I think are working very well today and applying them to, our passion, in freeing and forming men to be the best men that they can be.
I mean, I so agree with you there. I mean, the Bible does say that the worker is worth his wages, and so it is. And I don't think it's God's intention for people to work incredibly hard and earn very little because they're working for His kingdom. That actually goes in contracts. I do understand the concept of sacrifice, but at the same time, when you're working for the owner of the universe, and who holds everything in His hands, and who wants nothing else but for you to prosper, and I don't think it is so hard for Him to make sure that you are earning enough for yourself to afford a holiday with your family without having to scrap the pockets and get into debt just to go on not even a luxury holiday, just to go away. And unfortunately, a lot of the conception in the church are that you work very long hours, you sacrifice a lot, you pour a lot of your time into people, and then you get very little in return. And apparently that's okay. But maybe that doesn't have to be okay. Maybe there's a lot more. Maybe it's our human understanding that is limited. Maybe our strategies are not as great as they could be. Maybe there's a lot more for us. So that's one of the things that I love about Exodus, because there's an absolute sense of excellence when you go through the pages on the website or the app. You when you look at it to a secular business, and you compare the standards and the quality, and considering that the secular one usually has a lot more funding and a lot more expert at their disposal compared to this one here, but you can't see the difference. There's an incredible level of excellence. There's an incredible passion. There's almost, I want to say, there's business principle that can be applied here and here that are being applied here. And so my wish as a core believer is for a success, enduring success, because I think our God is excellent. And He is success. He died excellently, He resurrected excellently, He did all of it excellently, and He put all in, and He says the heaven is, plated, the floor is plated in gold. And so And so there's no reason why we have to earn so little. I just hired a new guy on my team. I call him the executive secretary. He's a very talented young man, very talented, just maybe a year younger than me. To biggest respect for me. I don't know why he's got so much respect, but I feel humbled every time. Every time I can sense so much respect, and I'm like, dude, it's not necessary, but he still does it. And then I understood one thing: he's passionate, and he has respect for what we do, and so got him to do some of the admin of the company. And I'm like, dude, I can't afford you to pay. I can't afford to pay how much I should be paying you, but I want you to hang on with me, because I promise you this: as we go, I'll be transparent with you. You will earn. And I was transparent with him in terms of how much we're making and in terms of how much I can pay him from that. But my dream is that everybody working with me, and I only have part-time people. I don't have any full-time. I got interns and part-times. And so I said, everybody working, when we got up and down, but when we are in an up season, everybody needs to win. It has to be a win for everybody. So I line up with you. I want my people to earn well and to live well.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, over here, it was the same way at the beginning. I mean, I was broke for years, trying to get this off the ground. And the first guys that came on the team, I respect them immensely, because they were not making market rates, over here, and they could have made much more and taken on way less risk than by working with me. Oh. And what was so cool is, as the idea started to take and as we started to experience success, I didn't go and build this massive team or get a fancy office or whatever. I just reinvested that in our people. And I'm really proud of that. We could have had twice the number of people we had working with us, but I wanted our guys to be paid as, twice as much, basically, from what they were at. And what's cool about that is, you build relationships in that place. So since we started running payroll in 2015, we have never had a single person leave our company. And that is really hard to do in a small business. It's hard to build roots and connections like that. But I have chosen to be the greatest advocate for my own team and employees.
Yeah.
And as a result, no one has ever asked me for a raise. No one has ever asked me for more, because I'm the one that's fighting for that for them. And that just builds great trust. And then you can just move fast together, and you can have fun, and you can experience success and failure, and you're all in it together. You're all on the same team. And, I would just say that, for the guys that have been here, there's nobody winning more from our transition than the folks that have been around and were here when there was no money and there was no success. And, I'm excited for them. I'm excited for me too, honestly, with that. And, that's just become one of my greatest passions. And so even as we're taking on, what is a lot of money that we've never had to work with before, I could hire 3 times as many people as I would could, but I'm going to hire a third of it to just make sure those guys there are phenomenal and they're taken care of, and they don't need to worry basically about money, to have as much and more than they would expect. And as a result, I just recruited somebody from a major tech company, and recruited another from a fast-paced growing marketing startup. And it's working, I guess, is what I'm saying. This blend of faith and kind of secular excellence, it's working, it's compelling, and that's the kind of place I want to work at. In 20 years, I want to be with the same people doing the same work. And hopefully we can stay humble, stay open. A lot will change. Tech will change. And, we don't want to, we could get disrupted, and we just need to stay humble, stay open, and disrupt ourselves, basically. And, that's fully kind of what I intend to do here.
And as we jump into this last point, I just want to highlight one thing to guys that are watching us right now. One other thing James mentioned was an incredible sense of values. I love the fact that a lot of the guys working with you, the core of your team, you talked about passionate about, first of all, the vision. So they're passionate about what you're working on and what you believe. And secondly, you share, for more than likely, a lot of them share the similar values as you do. And I want to encourage you guys listening to right now. That's why the name of our school is Entrepreneur Leaders School, because one of the things that I've realized when I started the school that it takes a great leader to start a company and lead it successfully. You can never do it on your own. That's why our company is called Entrepreneur Leaders, entrepreneurs that are leaders. And our model of leadership is always servant leadership that we completely immerse our student into. And so I don't know if you guys are catching this. He's got a powerful, strong vision that he will die for. You guys, I'm sure you picked it up. And his team has got a small team that has been with from the beginning, and they are buying into the vision. They share similar, if not the same, values. And lastly, he's fighting not just for the vision, but he's also fighting for the people that he's leading. And I want to encourage you guys, when you start a business, anybody who comes, he didn't have the resource, he had a powerful vision, and people that were ready to work at a minimal level. But why? Because they're bought into the vision and individual. And so I want to encourage you, you don't have to have all the money to get started. If you get a powerful vision that is passion, man, that passion becomes catchy, and someone will come and work alongside you. I've seen it with my own company. I've had people working for me for 3 months say, I'm going to give you 3 months just to help you with this and that. I'm not going to earn anything, but for 3 months, you can start paying me something, not even what I'm supposed to earn. Pay me just enough so I can take care of what I need to take care of. And that is a consistent story that you guys are going to hear. And last thing that I'm going to finish with James, for anybody listening to you right now, just in 2 minutes, what advice do you have for a teenager or somebody who just passed teenage years, early 20s, starting a business? What is the one hardcore advice that you want to give them as we finish?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And to be true to myself, I mean, that piece of advice is, I don't know where everyone is coming at from a faith perspective, from kind of a meaning of life and end of life kind of perspective. I would just ask everybody deeply, even if you don't pray, to just be open to the idea that, there's something bigger than me in the universe that's caused all this stuff to happen, and who loves us deeply and wants to see our flourishing and our greatest good. For me, when I look at our business and when I look at even the mission of the company, but how we operate, how we treat people, it all comes back to our faith, to the knowledge that the Father sent the Son, and he left us the Holy Spirit. And if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today. And we certainly wouldn't be experiencing any kind of success. So and what I think is so powerful about a habit of prayer is that it forces you to be humble, because you're acknowledging that you don't have it all. You're acknowledging that you don't have everything you need. You're acknowledging that you have a lot to learn. And I think what's so amazing and so magical about it all is once you learn to pray and you become comfortable with it, you start to hear and things become clearer, and struggles become not necessarily easier to bear, but there's a meaning to them, that you wouldn't have otherwise. So for me, I think my bang up advice for starting a business is just to pray. I mean, to ask for help and support. And then from there, I think you just start to trust what's happening to you. If you believe, like I do, that you're a child of God, like you're a son of God. I have kids now, and I would do anything for my kids. I mean, I look upon them with so much love, so much just amazement. Like, I just can't even believe it, and there are parts of my heart that exist now that didn't exist before they came to me. If I can love like that, imagine, and I'm a flawed human being with a lot of sins and a lot of vices and a lot of imperfections. Imagine how much the Father looks at us, holds us, and provides for us. And so, when you have that kind of framework, you start to believe in providence. Accidents don't exist anymore, and everything just kind of comes together and integrates for your good. And when I look at our story at Exodus, it is hilarious. It's like if I had tried to orchestrate this whole thing, I couldn't even orchestrate it. I couldn't even do it. But God's bringing it all together, and I'm just excited to see where it unfolds from here, and to really surrender the entire project, the success, the everything to Him, and pray that it gives Him great glory, and pray that it blesses like as many men as we can, and make our dent in the universe.
Wow, what a way to finish with a bang. For those who are catching us only now, it's the end, and I want to encourage you. James Baxter, he's the founder of Exodus 90. I think it's going to turn to be Exodus more than 90, because it's going to go more than 90 days, I'm sure. That's the goal. But www.exodus90.com, you guys can find more about them, or just go onto your app store and just look for Exodus 90. You'll find them. It's an amazing app, visually and in terms of content. And lastly, for anybody joining us now who doesn't know about our school, and you want to know how to become an entrepreneur, what is entrepreneurship? Is it really for you? I encourage you to go onto our website, www.entrepreneurschool.co.za. And entrepreneur is entrepreneur. So you just type entrepreneur, and then you add leaders, all of it together. That's one word that I've created. And I hope to see it in a dictionary one day. That's actually one of my goals. That's why we've created our own dictionary with our own words within the company. But that word is going to be in a dictionary. So you go to entrepreneurs.com, and then you'll find how to join us and become an entrepreneur. Having said that, James, one of the things that I've learned over the years is to reward people with a gift of words, because I realize words do last and they make an impression on people's heart. And so I want to say to you, and I'm not saying this because I am interviewing you. I'm saying this because it is a truth. You have truly inspired me today to fight harder, inspired me to believe in providence, inspired me to believe that even when it's hard, God has got it in the palm of His hand. And the things that in the back of your head, but when you go through things, they seem a bit blurry at times. And so I feel very resourced, very energized, very pumped. I'm looking forward to sitting down with my own company and withdrawing certain things just out of excitement. So I want to say, from a guy that you don't know, from a bar soap all the way from Gabon, living in South Africa, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. You have impacted a lot of me today, and a lot of young people listening that you will never know. But one day you'll get an email from one of them and say, you actually did that webinar a couple of years ago, and I listened to you. I took your advice. I prayed. And today I just want to share with you what my business has done today. You don't know what you've done today. I like to think it's an atomic bomb that you dropped today. And I want to say thank you. Anything that myself and my team can do for you at some other stage, feel free to reach out. It will be an absolute privilege. And I do hope that this is not the last time that we connect somehow, that we get to connect over the years and get to see each other's business in 20 years' time, where they are and whether we've reached our goals. But thank you. God bless you. And God bless your kids and your family for allowing you to be here on a Saturday. And man, have a fantastic weekend.
Hey, Aaron, thank you so much. That's those words are so humbling, and I received those straight into my heart, and I'll hold on to them. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I love opportunities to share, what we've learned and, what I've learned. And I just try to be an open book and share from my experience, and, take what's helpful here, leave what's not, for your own journey. And, obviously, Aaron, whenever you're in the States, hit me up. And I'll do the same, if I'm on your side of the pond, and, let's definitely stay in touch.
Please do. We're actually fighting to try to get to the States next year. My wife loves Europe. I love visiting the States. So we'll see which one wins. More than likely my wife, but we'll see which one wins, and then we'll pop you an email.
Awesome, Aaron.
All right. Have a good
And
one.
God bless you.
Bye.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.